The Dean Obeidallah Show. It is Friday, February 21st. And third hour can only mean one thing on this show. What just happened? As we look back at the true insanity of the week. Returning champs are all here. It's an all-star panel. Tara Dublin's back, a writer, a political commentator. She's the author of the book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story. She's got a Substack newsletter and a new show, The Tara Show with Tara Devlin on the Political Voices Network. Tara, nice to see you in between your 9 million jobs that you do here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. If only all of them paid really well. Okay, great.
I know. I hear you. Also back, it is our good friend Lizz Winstead's back, comedian, co-creator of The Daily Show, an activist, creator of Abortion Access Front, host of podcast, Feminist Buzzkills on countless TV shows over the years, and a longtime friend. Hello, Liz. Nice to see you. It's great to have you on.
It's great to be here.
And look who's back, our friend Keith Price, comedian, actor, writer, radio personality. It says on his website, radio personality. I like that very much. He's been on many SiriusXM shows, including this one many times, and a host of his own podcast, Keith Price's Curtain Call.
That's it.
Hello, Keith. How are you?
Hello, Habibi. How are you, baby? What's going down?
Doing all right. I'm hanging in there, Keith. All
I'm
right,
so
my
excited
friends.
with the ladies. Hey, y'all.
Hi.
All right, so let's talk about Donald Trump, the traitor, who, by the way, he's a traitor. He's a piece of garbage.
Fresh new take on who he is.
He's a Russian asset, but he literally just said a short time ago before we came on air here that, talking to Brian Kilmeade, he said his new way of framing the idea that Ukraine started the war is, he literally said they should have not allowed Russia to attack them. And it was their fault for not using the right words. I'm not kidding. He literally used a term like someone blaming a woman for being raped. That's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Right. They were
Why
drinking.
was Ukraine wearing that short skirt?
Right. Why did Ukraine go to the
asked
hotel?
for it.
Hotel went to the hotel room at night. Exactly.
Had that third drink.
It's
on
so-
you, Ukraine. Sorry.
That's it. How dare you?
Ukraine never met Kavanaugh in college.
And Ukraine probably has ponytail. So how can you blame Russia, right? Because
Yeah.
so this is where we are. This is Donald Trump blaming Ukraine, lying nonstop. His mental illness is you can't deny it. The corporate media won't talk about it. He's mentally unfit. But Liz, go ahead. You've raised your hand very politely.
Me too. Like, think about the way why did John McCain let himself get captured? You know, I don't respect people who die for their country. I don't why did Stormy Daniels fuck you? Like, oh my God, like what is even happening? Like, what?
This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a guy who's peddling Kremlin talking points. And look, there were even some Republicans who were critical. This is one of the few things, some spoke out, not really loudly, but a little bit, and most were silent about this. But Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, and I'll read his quote, Trump is the first and so far only Western leader to publicly and loudly say that one of the root causes of the Ukraine situation was the imprudence of the previous administration to draw Ukraine into NATO. So in this, he is saying, thank God Donald Trump is blaming the United States of America and Ukraine for us having to attack them. That's what he's saying. Tara, what is your take on this? And what's the end game? What do you think is doing this? Why is Trump doing this?
I mean, he's always been Putin's puppet. We've been saying this forever, that he was first compromised in 1987. Putin is a very patient groomer. And so the end game is Putin having the world domination he's been seeking all along. And Trump failed to hand him the United States the first time. So Putin recruited Musk and said, do the fuckery with the satellites. And here we are. Here we are. Trump is golfing, and we've got an unelected South African Nazi bureaucrat standing in the Oval Office with his kid wiping his boogers on the Resolute desk. Here we are. And where's the media? They're like, Trump takes a strong tone, on this. Fuck you, shut up. He's rapey. It's a rapey tone. Ukraine was asking for it. This is how a predator speaks. Right?
Well, when you're a celebrity, you can just take over a country without even asking.
And you can
right?
just rename Greenland. What? No.
Grab it by the borders.
Yeah, grab them by the border.
Nice.
Jesus Christ. Nice.
Price
Very
is
nice.
Dying to Keith. Tara makes an interesting point too. If Trump can make a deal with Putin to carve up the world, then no one's going to stand up to him when he goes after taking Greenland or Canada or the Panama Canal or Gaza. If you take out the only counterbalance by saying, okay, you can have Ukraine and I'm going to take some things on our hemisphere, who's going to stop us? We're living in a country where the leader's the bad guy. Like, we're the bad guys now.
No,
We weren't
he's the
always
bad guy.
right.
No,
Now, we weren't
he's
always
the
the
bad
greatest
guy.
guy. We were at times, I really think, trying to be a force for good, the United States at its best. We were a force for bad under Donald Trump. So, Keith, what's your take on it?
Well, to me, it just feels like, again, it's the more chaos that he can continue to create with all these conversations, with all these statements, with all of this, conversation now, that it's very clear that he's an asset. It's very clear that Elon Musk has done something to help get him in office, which is the reason why Elon Musk is standing in the White House, in the main room of the White House with his, kid, and the kid looking at him saying, "You're not the president." It's like, kids don't do that unless it's very clear what's happening. The only issue that really follows is like, the people that can change this are all afraid to change it. It's like you find 5 senators and five Republican senators and maybe 5 to 10 Republican Congress people, and between them, if they just said no to half of the shit that keeps coming across the desk, it wouldn't happen. We wouldn't have a cabinet full of chuckleheads, because, we would have had some people that were brave enough to say, listen, this is really ridiculous. I know that we're all having fun. We've got the power, but let's show actually who has the power. And they don't. And so, because they're not doing it, they're allowing this craziness to continue. And the rest of us are having to stand behind and watch it go down. Because, again, part of the fear is that this could cause something like, some civil unrest that would cause you to have to declare martial law. And then once you declare martial law, you can do any damn thing you want. And that's what we're heading towards. And so we have to figure out how to not let that happen. And the only way that's going to happen is if we have some people that are brave enough, that are Republicans, that are willing to stand up and take the heat. And take the heat, knowing that they may lose the job in which they were elected to do, because they had such a cute resume beforehand as lawyers, doctors, or whatever the fuck they were doing beforehand, that they seemingly can't go back to doing and making a living. So we have to fix that and make sure that they can do that kind of stuff if something happens to them. But the standing up is going to have to come from them. And
well, I always want
the
to stand up from
standing up
Democrats.
from the people. Like Tony
well,
Pritzker said, when you remove the undocumented people and the Muslims and the women and the LGBTQ people, and you get rid of all of that, and your problems still exist, then what happens? And so, to me, that's it. First of all, think about this. The only benefit of holding elected office in the Congress or the Senate is that you have political power. When you abdicate that power, then what do you have? You have a fucking middle paying job that you can't get anything done. And if you can't get anything done, you won't even have that. But two, when it comes to Ukraine, now is the time the international community needs to, I don't know if they can without the US, but you have to get Ukraine into NATO, because then you have the power of NATO. When you start, they can do anything they want to NATO, because there is no power behind Ukraine without NATO, right? Like, that's just a thing. Also, this massive just acceptance that the United States is somehow a company and that we should be running it as a business is insane. Demanding $500 billion in mineral rights. We aren't a nation that was formed to be a for-profit corporation. We are a nation that was formed to have output to take care of the people.
Well, the shakedown for the minerals, and I covered on my show earlier in the week, but Donald Trump, and they're getting closer to some kind of deal. Trump is demanding 50% of the rare minerals of Ukraine in return for giving them more aid. And just so anyone out there thinks like that's going to benefit any of us who are listening, it's not. His rich oligarchs, Trump's rich oligarchs, will get the rights to mine that and sell it and make even more money. It's not like when they give oil drilling rights, I make money. I don't. The fossil fuel companies make money. It's the same thing. The oligarchs who funded Donald Trump's campaign will get the right to mine for minerals and then sell them. And Elon Musk, who comes from South Africa, emerald mining family, I'm sure he knows some people who do some great job mining and make even more money. So Tara, we're shaking down Ukraine. It's like, if you want some help, you got to give us tribute. You got to give us, we've never done this. Like, you're in our sphere of influence. Yeah, there's intangible things, but never this kind of bullshit mafia type shakedown.
We're not like, it's not the Sopranos. Like, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. This is not, within a month, they have overturned everything that is normal about American life. In a month, it's insanity. And the reason that we've even gotten to this point is the corporate media failure to be able to rise above the lies and get the truth out into the world, which is, Russia invaded Ukraine. Ukraine wasn't like, come here, daddy, come get us. It was, they are consistently trying to rewrite history, just like they're trying to do with January 6th, just like they want to have the good parts version of history. And it's up to people like us to make sure they don't get away with it, which is why we need our own Democratic press secretary, which is something that I put out on Twitter, like at the beginning of this month, because Caroline is out there every day lying. And we need somebody.
Trump's press secretary.
Yeah.
So have our own, you mean, who goes out there every day and goes, right, like, I'm here.
With her giant cross going, we're going to take over America. Like, she's insane. She has granddaddy issues. We need our own consistent Democratic message going out every single day as well before their lies can take hold. And I would like to see somebody like Jessica Tarlov from Fox becoming our Democratic press secretary.
So that she's a Democratic press secretary.
I have been putting this out there for weeks, and other people have kind of co-opted it because I'm so suppressed on Twitter, and they're like, get Pete Buttigieg. And Pete is wonderful, but I think he wants to run for Senate. And what we need is someone to be a press secretary. And I want it to be Jessica Tarlov from Fox, because if they can have Fox hire, so can we. And she knows how to deal with right-wing media when they try to move those goalposts. So Peter Doocy tries it with her. She'd be like, nope, this is actually the truth. And I've been trying to get it to Hakeem Jeffries or the DNC and Chuck Schumer. That's what we need.
We have a DNC. The DNC.
I know. I have $1 million ideas over here. Like, I'm waving my arms at them.
They're by the train station. It's easy. You know, they can have press conferences.
I'm tired of asking Republicans to be our spokespeople, like the.
I don't know what Jessica is. Is she a Republican or Democrat?
She's a Democrat. She sits there on the 5 and she shuts down Jesse Waters on the regular, and it's awesome. But that means she's just reaching the Fox audience who aren't going to listen to her anyway. So if you get somebody who knows how to deal with that mentality, but she's standing outside the White House press room, or they're doing it somewhere at a different location or whatever, but she's in front of all of the media that Trump won't let have offices in the building anymore, and she's immediately countering whatever they just put out, that's a start anyway, because everyone's like, Democrats aren't doing enough. Democrats can't get the message out. Most Democratic voters aren't on social media. They're not going to see you memeing. They're not going to see you tweeting. They're just not. So you need to get out in front of cameras every single day. I don't know why they're not already doing it. It's really frustrating.
No one knows. I'm chatting with Tara Dublin, Lizz Winstead, and Keith Price. So Keith, what would you like to see from Democrats? That's sort of something, an ongoing conversation we have like weekly on this show.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I want to see is beyond the words of a Jasmine Crockett or an AOC, which, you know, I love and I think is fabulous. But they're not the only ones there, and they can't carry the entire message, and they can't carry the entire fight on their shoulders when there's all of these other folks, these other Democrats that are sitting right there in the same House of Representatives and that same Senate on the other side that can be right there behind them or speaking up as loud as they are. Because honestly, that's what people need to see now. People need to see that you guys are in there fighting and being really and willing to get scrappy and willing to have to say the unkind things that need to be said in order for them to respond in a way that they're going to have to respond. And, you know, that's not happening because we're still trying to play that, well, we don't want to seem political game. And it's like, you know what, baby, it's politics. So be political. Ain't nobody asking you to do nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's and the thing is my feeling always has been is that if their intention to do whatever it is that they say they're going to do when they get into office or when they get closer to office or having the power and the majority to do the things, if they would just do those things, it would be great. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we know now that when we vote you in, we're not sure if you're going to stay on our side. We're not sure if you're going to continue to do follow through with the message, but at least you're making an effort to try to at least speak to us and get in there and do it. Whereas on the other side, they don't give a shit. So, and they don't care how they do it to get in, and they don't care what their end game is to get there. They're just going to get to their end game, and we don't fight that hard when we know that what we're doing is the right thing. Because again, everything that we want to fight for is the right thing to do in a country that we live in. So why, if you have to play dirty to get this done, know that you're doing it because you want to make sure that this truly gets done, and it's not because you want to be hateful to the other side. It's like there's a difference to that. And the other side plays for hatefulness, and we should be playing that same card, but knowing that we're trying to do the right thing for the people that we're
So we're
really
going to hate for good. We're going to have a sign. We'll hate for
Well,
good.
you know what? I would
like
rather
that.
you hate for good
Right.
than hate for the
We'll hate for food. So, okay, let's shift gears for a second, though. It's related, of course, because I was talking to Liz right before we came on air that Congressman Rich McCormick, a Republican in Georgia, district he won by 20 points, was met with boos and jeers yesterday. As NBC News reported, I think it's kind of interesting what the crowd yelled at them because they reported it. They yelled, "We're pissed, shame, and don't bend over." I'm like, why was that? Why didn't NBC News put that in the reporting there? I'm like, that was like, who was yelling that? So the idea was they were mad going, you're cutting all the programs. Why aren't you standing up to Doge? And they don't view Musk on their side. He's the richest guy in the world. He's with a chainsaw having fun at CPAC where 200,000 people have lost their jobs and more, and people are going to lose services, Medicaid and everything. So Liz, this is I think this is potentially a symptom of something that's going to grow. I'm really hoping it is. More and more people these were older white people. Some are Democrats, but I'm sure some are Republicans and some are independents. They were mad in Georgia last night. So is this heartening?
I mean, it's heartening. It's also, heartening is hard because yes, I'm happy that people are seeing, but also the path that we need to get to for people to wake up is just littered with victims of this bullshit, right? And so I think what's happening is you're going to see older white people when they hear about, we know Social Security, all of that, they're going to be mad. But then there's the rippling things that people need to be thinking about, like just the announcement that they want to remove telemedicine from Medicare. They don't understand how Medicare works. So what that means is who needs telehealth the most? The disabled and elderly people. They can't leave their homes, right? So they're upset. Then you have people like me who have had to help elderly parents navigate the last 15 years of their lives through doctor's appointments, through everything. So then you have the secondary elderly, the 35 to 60 folks who are dealing with the 65 to 80, in those ranges, who now have their lives upended. They're probably out of a job but right before retirement if they get fired, or they're just trying to keep two jobs to keep it going because everything's so expensive. Now they've got to take their parents back and forth to the doctor. They're trying to carve out time from work. Like the rippling effect of how we can live our lives with no money and we can't afford anything. And then how all the other things that come to play are going to be profoundly destructive to the family unit, just basic services. They're feeling it already and they're hearing it because let's be honest, people of privilege only respond when something happens to them, right? That's what white privilege is. So
yes, honey.
All of a sudden see and that this is something that's going to land on their front door. That's when that shit's going to happen.
And that's exactly what's happening because these people are fearing it. And it wasn't just older people, it was a mix, but it certainly was in people in their 20s at the meeting. But they hear Donald Trump and Elon Musk this week talking about there's 20 million people on Social Security that shouldn't be there. And they know it's a lie. They saw the same fact checking we all did. And they know what's coming. They know they're trying to justify just throwing people off the Social Security rolls. And good luck making your case to get back on when they've gutted Social Security Administration. You can't get anyone on the phone. And Medicaid, the House is talking about $800 billion. A big component is for people in elder care, in nursing homes who don't have money. So Medicaid pays them, their grandparents or their parents who could be out in the street or back in their house. So, Tara, I mean, Liz is right. The privileged people might not have listened to our argument about it's our democracy and our Constitution, but are you happy they're going to join the fight? Because ultimately, that's what I think together, this is how we win this battle going forward.
Well, we were saying all along that the only way they were ever going to finally wake up to what Trump is when it started affecting their own bank accounts.
Right.
That is the only time. I mean, even the most devout MAGA cultists are mad because what? He's breaking his promises? How dare he? And so, like, the combination of ethnic cleansing in Gaza, which they claim they didn't vote for, and the Ukraine stuff that they claim they didn't vote for, and the higher prices that they claim they didn't vote for, losing their health care. They're like, I still pay for my health care. I'm like, no, you're fucking not. And like, they're finally losing the things that are making their daily lives livable, exactly as Liz said, and as we said. You want to push back against things that you feel are wrong. That's one thing. You don't get to take away every single thing that makes our daily lives livable and then not give us something that's better and replace it. You know, you have concepts of a plan. That's not good enough. How is taking away SNAP benefits making our country healthier? How is eradicating vaccines so that children die making us healthier? Bill Cassidy, who voted to confirm not a doctor. So people showing up to yell at McCormick is an indicator of people really finally finding out. And that's why we're flooding Republican phone lines in Congress. And that's what I mean, I'm out here on the West Coast protected by the blue wall, but that doesn't mean I don't call Republicans and say, I'm pretty sure this is not what your constituents elected you to do. And I don't know if you all saw this, just like I'm not sure people know that there's going to be a third impeachment. But we just heard from there was a Vanity Fair article that Republicans are meeting behind closed doors because they're, quote unquote, scared shitless of what Trump and Musk are doing and, you know, employing these Gestapo tactics. And specifically, Tom Tillis was apparently receiving death threats if he didn't confirm Pete Hegseth.
Same with Joe.
And so, and so, like, if people are threatening you, you don't vote for the people. You stand up in front of the American people. Come out from democracy dies in darkness. If you're hiding behind closed doors saying you're scared, come out into the light and you stand up and say, we are scared because this is not normal. We're Republicans, we're conservative, but we are not handing our country over to Nazis. Like, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about that level of accountability. And hopefully you can, I don't know if you can reach them, but when I call and I talk to these people, because I leave messages or I talk to the people who answer their phones, and what I say is, you know what? I would love to believe that you're a human being and an American before you're a Republican. I want to believe that, but you're not going to until you prove it to me. You know, like, does John Thune want his people to die? I don't know. Maybe. Call him and ask him.
So let's, Keith, I want to get your reaction to something that, you know, Steve Bannon does this. It's like wink, wink, but it really seems to be a normalization of the Nazi salute. So he does, Steve Bannon at CPAC clearly does it on purpose. And he does it the troll. He does the fascist salute, which we know is a Nazi salute. He does it. Elon Musk did it to troll or whatever, but they are clearly beginning to normalize it. And we're going to see this openly at Republican rallies, and you're going to see people in the crowd respond. And it will look like 1930s Germany all over in America, which is unleashing something really concerning to me where we already know where this is going. We've seen the History Channel. So what is your reaction to Steve Bannon and the crowd cheering? Because he's like, we have to give Trump a third term. And then he does the Nazi salute.
Well, to me, it's just par for the course. Again, you know, the part of the problem with this country, and I keep saying it over and over again, is that white folks don't know how to punish white folks the way that they punish everybody else. And if they would treat these people like the criminals that they are, treating the Steve Bannon like the criminal that he is, treating Donald Trump like the criminal that he is, treating Lauren, you know, MTG with her foolishness, and treating these people like the assholes that they really are, then we wouldn't be sitting in this situation. We just wouldn't be. But because we give a pass to the behavior, we look, Elon Musk, when he did it at first, it was like, oh, it's because he's on the spectrum. No, he's not.
No, it's because he's a
No, he's
Nazi.
not.
All right, I don't know any
You know what I'm
autistic
saying?
Nazis or
Steve
Asperger's.
Bannon doing it, and Steve Bannon doing it on purpose, knowing what he's doing, is disgusting. So again, these are a bunch of disgusting people who should still be behind bars, or should be behind bars in some instances. And we have not punished them the way that they should be punished. And then we're looking at our country going, oh my God, it's turning into like a third world nation with these rich oligarch nations taking over. Like we're seeing it happen, but we are in the one country where we have the power to stop it. Whereas in those other countries, they don't. And because we don't exercise the thing that we need to do, which is, exercise the, 14th Amendment, Section 3. Had we, you know what I'm saying? Had we had,
a long time ago.
Merrick Garland doing his job as someone who is supposed to be representing and saving the people of this country from the criminality that is the folks in our government, for him to not step up and do that is one of the reasons why we're here, because he doesn't want it to look political. Well, you know what? Fuck it. It's political.
Well, and
go ahead, Liz.
We can wrap up.
Oh, I'm good. Go ahead, baby.
Oh, I mean, the other thing I want to say that I often feel like we ignore is politicians, and we were talking about it earlier, at the town halls and the old white people coming to scream about their own self-interest. But the truth is that we need to face is that part of the reason that these Republicans aren't doing shit is because their constituents themselves are also Nazis. And if the Nazis aren't going to hold accountable the people that they elected, they see no political advantage to pushing back. Every time a politician on the right doesn't push back, it's because they don't have to, because they will get elected anyway, because the values of who they represent are fucking garbage. Half of our country is garbage. Just
Fair.
So you're saying that the Nazis are not going to call up and go, hey, you're too Naziing it. This is just too much Nazi for me. Can you tone down the Nazis?
Never go full Nazi.
Right. No salutes in public, only at the meetings when we're together, because this is uncomfortable. It makes it uncomfortable at the country club when I hang out with my Nazi friends.
Because you look.
Right.
Yes.
It makes it uncomfortable. Yeah.
Campaigned on this shit. It was all fake eggs, all fake everything.
Yes.
Truth is, their core connection between who they voted for and who they are is we fucking hate brown people, we hate black people, we hate people who are different, we fucking hate immigrants. Get it all.
And women can.
This panel's not liked by them.
Yeah.
We got to take a quick look. We got to take a quick break. Come back. Talk some good stories about Democrats profiles and punching Trump in the face, as I like to call it. Also, a bad thing, Kash Patel, and how deeply concerning this really could be for all of us, for us right here, honestly, if he does what he says. So let's take a break. We'll come back with more of the Dean Obeidallah Show right after this. And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. It's still Friday, February 21st, and Tara Dublin, Lizz Winstead, Keith Price here. Let's talk the bad news first, then the good news about the profiles in Democratic patriotism and courage. So the Senate confirms Kash Patel 51-49. Two Republicans, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, for what it's worth, did vote against Kash Patel. Kash Patel, for those who didn't follow closely, although we've covered a lot on my show, this is a man who openly had an enemies list he wanted to prosecute. This is a man who called for having members of the media prosecuted for lying about the 2020 election not being stolen. So those telling the truth should be prosecuted. He's a man who produced the January 6th choir song. So he worked with terrorists and helped produce a song about January 6th by people committing a terrorist attack. And now this guy, he also has ties to China. Senator Dick Durbin were flagging. He has financial ties to China. And he's a right-wing conspiracy theorist. He said January 6th was an inside job. This is bullshit. There's no defense. There's nothing here. This is the worst person ever. Other FBI directors were former judges, lifelong prosecutors, all that kind of stuff. Not a scumbag like this. So Terry, you had posted something on the X thing where
it's Twitter.
Patel,
it is always Twitter.
It's Twitter with the bullshit thing. So tell us.
Just like it's always the Gulf of Mexico. God damn it. All right. So a while back, and I don't know when he did this because he's a freak. He photoshopped his head into an ad for Lucchese boots where it's a leather jumpsuit with like a giant moose
Cash Patel did, just so
knuckle.
people know.
Cash
You're talking
Patel
about Cash
did
Patel,
this.
the now the
He
FBI director.
tweeted it.
Yep.
He tweeted it, a while ago because it's been out there for a while, and he's like, putting boots up the deep state's ass since 1883. And it's basically like, and so I tweeted, and I tweeted it repeatedly and tagged him because I don't give a shit anymore. But it's doing well right now because I tweeted, hey, Cash Patel, what number am I on your enemies list for posting your Grindr profile photo?
Ooh.
And who do you, come on, just tell us who your daddy is, glory hole. And so it's still there. And I tagged him. I tagged him twice. I did the thing where you do an at him, and I tagged the photo with him. No, he didn't respond. So I'm so suppressed on Twitter that, I tweet Elon is a Nazi like all day long. And I post the photo of him doing the real Nazi salute. But I was like, hey, here's your Grindr profile, Moose Knuckle. And Lindsey Graham is like somewhere. Ooh. Madison Cawthorn is going to host an after party for all of them. So
I remember him.
What are you going to do? Do it. What are you going to do? We are the enemies list. Are they going to make a special cell block for us at Gitmo so that the creatives can still hang out? What you going to do? Cash? I don't know, but I'm going to keep that going until
this is a guy who wrote a children's book. Cash Patel wrote a children's book called The Plot Against the King about Donald Trump to try to brainwash young kids to look at Donald Trump as a victim after January 6th. The idea that he's the FBI director, it's a joke, but it's dangerous. So, Liz, do you have concerns where this is going? And just to tie it in here, Ed Martin, who's the acting U.S. attorney, who's also a January 6th defender and co-conspirator guy. Criminal conspiracy guy, like way out there bullshit. He just sent a letter to Congressman Garcia saying, we're going to investigate you for using an analogy about a bar fight against Elon Musk. And to the point that, Tara, what you did last night, I toasted for my show, the guests that are on, and I tagged Ed Martin because he's on Twitter. I said, Ed, if it's a crime to criticize Trump or Musk, we will be committing many crimes on my show. Tune in and prosecute us. No response.
Is everybody getting that?
No, you got it. You got to go right at these people because they want to sound, their goal is a chilling effect on free speech. That's the goal, right? We know it. Self-censorship is the greatest friend of dictators and tyrants. So, Liz, is there a point where you're outspoken? You're very outspoken, and you're in the space of like killing babies to them. Are you concerned that they've already come for you in different ways? Are you concerned they might use the apparatus of government?
Oh, well, first of all, when they revisit, HR 9495 and say that, anybody who is aiding, abetting terrorists, they could call abortion providers terrorists. They could call us trying to access care terrorists. But more to the point, if you're asking me personally, we had a hand in collecting data and information and video that threw 23 anti-abortion terrorists in jail on federal charges. Trump pardoned them. Pam Bondi made a promise that she was going to go after the people who, persecuted people praying outside of clinics.
Oh my God.
And so, that's very real for anybody who is doing that work. And the FBI agent, who knows what the FBI agents that helped prosecute them, I'm sure they were all fired. I'm sure that they said they were going to look into them. That shit's it's very real. And, this whole Trump and anybody who he is surrounding himself with, it is all grievance or financial based, every single piece of it. He doesn't care about Panama. He cared what Panama did to him trying to build there. He obviously looks at Gaza as a place to put, make money.
More hotels.
And more bankruptcies.
He hates Ukraine because Ukraine didn't help him frame Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Every of what he does is to level anybody who has not done his bidding. And then you have the secondary soldiers like Cash Patel and Pam Bondi and all of these people who also want the same thing. They are all, it's a wall of grievance. And I don't know how you manage people who have the insatiable appetite for revenge. I don't know the answer because it seems like Bond villain shit.
It is vaudevillianship. It's total vaudevillianship. It's again, when you think that we are living in an age where the president of the country, his last name is not only on buildings around the world, hotels around the world, there's on the sides of a plane, whenever he uses his own plane, and he is basically living like fucking Lex Luthor right now. And the mere fact that we have allowed it is what makes me angry. And part of it is because, as a person of color, and as a gay person, we've been trying to tell everybody that this is where we were going. Like, we were saying it loud, we were saying it proud. We were like, get on the Kamala bandwagon. It's gonna be cute. Trust me. Listen, these people don't want to help you. We are here.
Right.
Like, look at what's being laid in front of you and look at what you're dealing with. And people still chose the other side. Now, I will say, I'm with you, Tara, that this was a Starlink hookup where straight blue ticket meant everybody below was blue except for at the top on a some sort of program, winky wink. But again, we're not going to ever find that shit out because I'm sure whatever evidence of that is going to be so long gone, if not already long gone.
Yeah.
So at this point now, we're stuck with the fact that we know that there are Americans in this country that are willing to let this happen, or at least rushing to have this happen. We have Americans in this country that don't give a fuck that it's happening. And then we have the rest of us that are like, listen, you idiots. It's like, there's like, we know that there's a whole lethargic side of you all, but like, look at what's happening to you that's slowly creeping over, and you need to get up and do something. And it's like, but at some point we can't, I can't say it to everybody. Liz can't
We're trying.
do it for
We're really trying.
Keith froze there. Just
Tara's
trying to
doing
say
it
something to
everywhere,
everyone.
girl, and still.
I'm trying. It's just they don't like it
I'm
when we
sorry.
tell the truth, so they suppress. And
Well,
I'm
women won't be
suppressed
allowed
on Facebook now too because I dared call Zuckerberg poodle perm, and I don't know. I don't know if that's why.
Maybe Tara, you have to look inside. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's
You think it's me? Do you think
maybe it's Tara
Swiftie?
Dublin.
I'm the problem. It's
You're a
me.
Swiftie. It's Tara Dublin, Lizz Winstead, and Keith Price here. Let's talk about something good Democrats did here, and I'll give each of you one of them, and also an NFL punter. So let's start with.
Can I take the NFL punter? Just
I
because
love him.
Sure.
We should
Sure.
all
All
take
right.
him. Hubba,
All
hubba.
right, we're gonna start.
I met him back in my OutQ days, so when he was supporting gay marriage. So you guys go ahead and talk about him.
All right, then you can all talk about whatever you want. All right, let's just start with Keith. You live in New York City. Look, when congestion pricing was happening here, at first I was like, I'm not sure. I don't know if I like this. Then it happened for a month, and there was really less traffic. More people were using mass transit. It was good for the environment. Like, this is pretty good, and it is painful for certain people. So I was wishing there was a way they could subsidize people or discounts for certain people. They had some of you live in New York if your income's a certain level, but even for Jersey people, right? Then Trump goes, nope, it's over. I'm done. And he puts an image of himself as the king, like, because he's an asshole. And Governor Hochul, who I'm I'm not a huge fan of, but I don't dislike. She said, I'm here to say New York hasn't labored under a king in over 250 years. And we sure as hell not going to start now. She said, the streets of the city where battles were fought, we stood up to a king. We won them. In case you don't know, New Yorkers, when we're in a fight, we don't back down. Not now, not ever. And she got applause. She said at an event, she actually choreographed this pretty well. Like, it was really like they had people there. It was at the MTA thing. I'm like, wow. So what do you think here? All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, Hochul, I like this.
You know what? Again, thanks. It's nice to see you be all feisty now, but like I need this feistiness to be popping off on a regular. And this is where you're doing it now. Fantastic. It's really great to see.
What's a good start?
I guess it's a good
I give
start.
him applause for little incremental stuff because I'm desperate for something.
Look,
Well, I know,
gotta
honey.
tell you, look, last week, Kathy Hochul, there's a doctor in New York New York has something called shield laws.
Yep.
Means that, and several states do, if you're an abortion provider in a legal state, you are shielded from the laws of another state. So you can provide abortion care via telemedicine, through the mail. A doctor in New York is being sued criminally and civilly by the states of Texas and Louisiana. Kathy Hochul not only said came out forward, I am not ever going to allow these states to prosecute against New York laws. And then she and Liz Kruger, another senator in New York, and some other people.
Senator.
Yeah, she's incredible.
She's my state senator, actually.
I just did an Instagram live with her an hour before I got on. They passed a new law that says if you're a doctor, your name doesn't have to be on the prescriptions so that they can't dig out of the garbage and find you and prosecute you. So she's been,
Wow.
I'm kind of with you, Dean. She's been not great on certain things, but when it comes to these kinds of civil liberties, except for weird, she's like, you can't wear masks, which was bizarre. But
she was reproductive freedom was a big issue for her. I interviewed her
Yeah.
during the campaign when she was running,
Yeah.
and that was her big thing. And she's
Look.
still been steadfast on it. So I applaud her for that. I really do. I try to find things that are good in Democrats because I do criticize them a lot, but I want to be
Yeah,
fair.
same
I
here.
want them to be better. It's not to
Yeah.
hurt them or tear them
Yeah.
down. I want them to be better.
And the only way we're going to protect reproductive freedom on this path where we're going to try to eventually fix it is to make sure the states that have means and resources are using state funding, not federal funding, and expanding abortion care by training more doctors, having more people, and paying for the procedures from people who come out of state to do it. And New York is making a commitment to doing all that. And she's been forceful.
That's great.
And that's
all right.
And
All right.
All right. So we don't have a lot of time. I want to get to Governor Pritzker and Tara. I'll give you this one. Then we'll go back to Chris Cluey but Governor Pritzker made an impassioned speech in the State of the State. And he invoked the specter of Nazis. And he said, I don't invoke that lightly. And he talked about being Jewish and helping build the Holocaust Museum in Skokie. And he said, we are watching with a foreboding dread what is happening in our country right now. He goes, here's what I learned. The root that tears apart your house's foundation begins as a seed of distrust and hate and blame. And he said it started every day with Germans up mad about inflation. Because we don't have kings in America. I don't intend to bend the knee to one. If we don't want to repeat history, then for God's sake, in this moment, we better be strong to learn from it. And I thought it was great that he dared to invoke the Nazis and the Holocaust. Being Jewish, he had the ability to do that. So what's your reaction, Tara?
I really appreciate that as a fellow Jewish American who has been targeted repeatedly online with anti-Semitism. It's really important to call it what it is. I don't care where Elon Musk is on the spectrum. Those were Nazi salutes. He pounded his chest like a fucking gorilla and grunted and made sure he did it a second time so that the Nazi kids in the back could see it. So right. J.B. Pritzker is awesome. He was amazing at the Democratic National Convention. Everything that he said, is valid and true. It's what happens after somebody speaks out like that? What happens after? Are people going to act? Are people going to stand up? Are people going to make sure that no one comes for me in the middle of the night and disappears me to Gitmo? Right. Because I'm a multiple target. Right. As far as they're concerned, Keith is a multiple target. Liz is a multiple target. You're a multiple target. Because not only are we in minority communities in this country, we're also outspoken members of independent media. We're dangerous to them. They hate the truth. They want to make sure we're not telling other people the truth. They've poisoned their cult enough that it's spreading. They want to make sure they're stopping the spread of that by stopping our voices. It's incredibly dangerous. We have a Project 2025 architect in control of the FCC, and Carrie Lake is running the Voice of America. So we have to keep screaming. And when we get somebody like Melanie Stansbury standing on the House floor, there's a Democrat to watch. She's great. She stood on the House floor as she's the ranking Democratic member on the new DOJ Oversight Committee. And so she stood on the House floor the day before telling Republicans what she was going to do. And not a single House Republican was there because she was shaming them to filth and they didn't bother to show their faces. And she said, you know where they are? Hiding because they're helping. That's what we need to talk about. That's where we shine the light. J.B. Pritzker is 100% right, and we need to elevate that message because it's true.
And the last one here I want to touch on is former NFL punter Chris Cluey, who went to a city council meeting in Southern California. He got arrested afterwards. He did civil disobedience on purpose, but they were going to hang a plaque to referring to Donald Trump, "Make America Great Again," in the local library. And Cluey said MAGA stands for hate and fear and the idea we should have a king instead of co-equal branches of the government. He went on and on. It's for censorship. And he said it's profoundly anti-democratic. It's a Nazi movement. And the big line was, you may have replaced a swastika with a red hat, but that is what it is. And then he went and he stood right there in front of the town council and laid down, and they arrested him because I'm doing civil disobedience, which is a long history in our country. So Liz, you want to talk about this one. What can you share?
So Chris Cluey, first of all, I want to take it for a couple of reasons. One, he was a Minnesota Viking and here in Minnesota.
Right.
And two, when I flew back here to work on the marriage amendment, in Minnesota. He was very involved, and there was an incident during the marriage amendment where a player from the Baltimore Ravens spoke out on marriage equality, and some insane person who served in the Maryland State House went on this rant about how Brendan Obeidallah, I think is how you say his name, should never be publicly endorsing marriage. He should be censored by the NFL, blah, blah, blah. No NFL player has ever said anything. Chris Cluey wrote a letter, and I'm going to read you part of it. It is one of the most brilliant letters, maybe the most brilliant thing since, Muhammad Ali wrote about our government. So just here's a piece of it that is unbelievable. So, quote, how does gay marriage in any way or shape or form affect your life? If gay marriage becomes legal, are you worried that all of a sudden you'll start thinking about penis? Like, oh shit, gay marriage just passed. Got to get me some of that hot dong action. Will all your friends suddenly turn gay and refuse to come to your Sunday ticket grill outs? I can assure you, gay people get married and will have zero effect on your life. They won't come into your house and steal your children. They won't magically turn you into a lustful cock monster. It is. I'll send the link to you so you can put it in your show notes, because it is.
Please do.
It is a brilliant letter, and it was like, and then he went on to say, by the way, I've been saying this for years, so Brendan's not the only one. Shut up.
Yeah.
But it was the most eloquent, hilarious. He is known for his activism.
Yep.
This was back in 2012 or
This was
2011.
great what he said. All right, before we run out of time, I want to give everyone a chance to plug what you're working on. Tara, let's start with you. Where can people go? We'll give you like 30 seconds each. Go ahead.
Please sign up for my Substack, taradublin.substack.com, and also buy my book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story. I have sold over 1,000 copies on my own, and I'm still trying to get a proper publishing deal. So everybody who reads this book, it makes my heart very happy. And also, please start watching The Tara Show every Thursday live, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on the Political Voices Network Substack and YouTube.
It's a great, I know those guys at Political Voices. Very good. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Liz, what about you, my friend?
You can find me across all social media except X at Lizz Winstead. You can find my organization, Abortion Access Front, at Abortion Front on all of the social channels. Please follow us, sign up, volunteer at Abortion Front, and listen to our podcast drops every Friday called Feminist Buzzkills, where you get all the updates on all the reproductive news that is happening around the fucking globe.
Great stuff. And my friend Keith Price, where about you?
I feel so unaccomplished when I say come find me at Keith Price Curtain Call and come enjoy some theater, because that's honestly, that's how I'm staying in this time, is that I'm getting to enjoy the arts, and I love talking about it. So come talk to me, come see me. That's what I'm doing.
I think you should call your show Lustful Cock Monster now, though.
That's my side channel.
That's for the town. I want to thank
OnlyFans.
all three of you were great. I really appreciate it. Have a great weekend.